Hey, Islam family, peace and love. Want to go in today pretty short. I just got a few things that I want to go into. As everyone can see, and anybody in the Moorish Divine and National Movement, y'all know exactly what this symbol, this sigil is that we have up here representing our Divine and National Movement. You know, um, this was brought to us by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, and I want to go in on the movement today and basically uh, organizations of the Divine National Movement because, of course, everyone knows there's a temple, but there's also other Moorish organizations out there. And, if we must be honest about it, there are lots of Moorish organizations out there. And there are lots of claims from different organizations, temples, things of that sort, making lots of big claims about, who's over the who and stuff. Let me switch this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right. So I could go in today on, a little bit of all of them. And if anyone has, any questions in particular, want me to give my particular opinion, on some, you can definitely hit me in the comments or shoot me an email, walterbeta, number 7 more at gmail.com. And I'll definitely, you know, give you any information that I have. So, my tea sip in, exotic goji berry tea, a little lemon on the side, just for the health. But, all right. In this Moorish and Divine National Movement, I guess I have to start off with the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which was actually the original that Noble Drew Ali started, and then from there he reincorporated to the Moorish Science Temple. So, that's as of current what's been in place. Now, I want to preface that you know, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which we know was first the Moorish Science Temple of America, uh, in its first forms, you could say came to be around 100 years ago. So, approximately 1917, people were seeing the first remnants of the Moorish Science Temple. And that's coming from the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Canaanite temple that even preceded that. So I don't want people to think that I don't know about any of these other organizations or that I'm leaving anything out. I just want to be specific that, around this time 100 years ago, was when the organization was started. Now, as far as what we have concerning getting remedy, from these organizations. And, this is more than just the temple. This is all of them. I just want to be perfectly clear that, you know, there are lots of people and lots of organizations that are getting remedy and doing things within the movement. So I don't want to cast too broad of a cloak on every single organization, every single temple, or anything like that there. But just to be honest, and this is easily researchable. You can Google this very easy. The Moorish Science Temple, like lots of people say, was infiltrated in the 1900s, the early 1900s, and so it'd be safe to say that 100 years ago, they were studying over Drew Ali. They were studying his movement and trying their best to infiltrate and see the things that they could do to slow it down. Now, when we talk about this movement, It's a few things we must understand. Being that the movement was infiltrated back then, we have to realize that there's been a resurgence of it. If you don't know, if people don't know, you know, the Black Identity Extremist Report put out around the end of 2017, was the most recent upheaval of the FBI coming in and targeting Moors. Now, they didn't say the Moor Science Temple in particular there. They gave a real vague name. They said, how did they put it? Sovereign indigenous Moors, I believe, or indigenous sovereign Moors or something like that there. But basically, they used a few catchphrases, is what I'll say. They used a few catchphrases that don't name a particular group of Moors, which is very dangerous because they could try and bottle up any group of Moors into that category, at any time and say that, hey, you're one of these sovereign indigenous Moors, you're a Black Identity extremist, a domestic terrorist. And, I would say that 90% of Moors don't fall into that category of what they're looking for. Not to say that there aren't some fools out there, and I'm just being honest with that one. Okay, so with that being said, I get asked a lot about all kinds of Moorish organizations, one being the Temple, which, I agree with the temple structure. If, anyone has ever talked to me, they know this. But the thing is, the people that are running some of these temples are not doing the things that are bringing remedy, or that I would even say are consistent to the things that Noble Drew Ali taught. As far as the constitutional values and the powerful information, there are a number of people that I would say are stuck on some of his most basic information and most basic teachings and say that anything beyond that is not what he taught. And not only did he not teach it, that he didn't agree with it, or he wouldn't be down with these sorts of teachings. And this is where things get to be dangerous because, the Prophet brought us lots of information, but he told us study, study, study. He said, study the Constitution. We use the Constitution. It's in one of his oral statements that says, he says it was basically the greatest document, ever written. And, to a certain extent, I would have to agree because the Constitution and, a lot of this system that is in place is definitely Moorish. It was our ancestors that wrote these principles and maxims of law that got put down on the paper that became the U.S. Constitution, but they were derived from, our older works. So it's not necessarily the system itself that is corrupt. It is some of the people that empower, some of the trustees over the system have become belligerent, as Taj would say, to the point where they're not holding up their end of the bargain in the trust. So we must learn how to deal with these belligerent trustees. Whether these be the policy enforcers, judges, magistrates, whatever y'all want to call them, but we know what's going on, people. So the point of what, or how much, to what extent that our movement has been infiltrated is really hard to say, especially in temples, because there are people that claim, will be the first to claim that, come to my temple, it isn't infiltrated, we don't have agents in here, blah, blah, blah. And some of these people, as they speak, they are being very honest, and I totally agree with the fact that they feel that they're being honest. And, you know, maybe they are, as to the best of their knowledge. The issue comes in is that with 100 years of infiltration in an organization, a paid agent, may have been the initial way of coming in and causing corruption, destruction. But any plan that lasts over a year, or excuse me, over 100 years, is a little bit more than just paying someone off. That's a small time gig. So I believe that in the movement there are some people who may not themselves be paid agents for any particular agency. They have never received, talked, commune, colluded, as Trump said, with anyone in government, within the government ranks, but their leaders may have been trained by someone who was a government agent 30, 50 years ago, and these things have been passed down. Um, you notice certain traits, certain things that people speak on that I'm not going to say definitely says that they're an agent, but give me a second. What I will say is that a lot of people are very dogmatic, and this is in a lot of the different Moorish organizations. When I say dogmatic, I mean that they believe, preach, study, and teach this only I have the answers format of teaching. They're in the belief that they know law and or in accordance with what is supposed to be done, and that there are other people out here that are Moors or claiming to be Moors because they not even all will recognize you as a Moor, which is really strange. But they'll say, basically, if you didn't come through us, through our organization, or do our particular process, that you're not doing things right, that you're not a Moor, you just a nigga in the feds. And, some of this stuff is coming out of temples, but some of this stuff is coming out of some of these other Moorish organizations that are out here, some of them giving remedies, some of them, you know, teaching and selling, stuff for the highest, amount out there, just getting whatever they can, and I do understand that people have to eat, we have families to provide for, because I'm one of them, and I work directly for the people. So I can understand, you know, that there are times, well, I guess because of business, I understand that there are times when sales are slow, times when sales are up, and people may change, fluctuate, and do certain things that, are strange for change, as we would say, to the point where, it's become a thing for people to think that Moors are scamming because you have some people out here that use the movement or the Moorish science, teach it under their own lane, and will charge you an arm and a leg, and then to be honest, you really don't get the remedy you're expecting, hoping for, looking for, and they're unable to provide it from the beginning, and some of them even know it. Now, anyone that knows me, I'm one of the most realistic, down 100. I'ma tell you, the God honest, truth the best I can, and I say a lot of what these people teaching as law is bullshit and legal theory, and it just simply doesn't work in practice, you know. So, with that being stated, I know, a lot of people really respect my opinion, come to me, for the real because they know, or they can feel the spirit that I have coming out, and it speaks to them to say that I'm being honest about a lot of this stuff. So, I get it, but a lot of these people come to me or find out about me after the fact. I get a lot of people that have went to some of these guys that charge $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for what they're calling status correction, but then it may not necessarily apply to the person's situation that bought it, you know, and you know after spending all of this money, they have what they feel like tools that will help them, but at the same time they don't know how to use a lot of these tools. They can't get in touch with the person that they got them from to even, get a consultation, or, after spending all this money, they can't afford a consultation, if you spent 5,000, and then, come to me for my services afterward, or want me to look over, some of these people paperwork that they've got, explain it, break it down to see how they could use it, or is it even usable? And that almost at some point, you know, borders on the line of disrespectful, because I have people that want me to do this for free. You know, they're like, well, brother, I just paid such and such, all these thousands. Can you give me a discount on your services? And, I work with people as best I can, if I can, because, some of that stuff is just ridiculous. So, with that being stated, I've seen a lot of other people's paperwork from different other Moorish organizations outside of the temple, and I'm gonna stick right there for a little bit, because in law, you know, I will say the temple does have some standing, but there are some certain things that need to be proven that I'm not sure that some of these temples can prove that they teach about. And I understand, and I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. But as far as the people, that are operating right now, there are certain Moorish organizations outside of the temple, that have this same, we're the only ones that are doing it right, and if you're not coming through us, you're just wrong. And a lot of these people, what they're teaching is real suspect in law. It's not that I don't agree with certain legal theories and concepts, but I understand public, private, operating in commerce versus operating organically, and it appears that a lot of them don't. I can understand the position that a lot of people come from when they've been listening to certain Moors who, what I say, teach a very organic process, which it's not that there's anything wrong with the organic fundamentals of law, but public and private don't mix. So, when you say you want to be organic, in law, that you don't need certain documents, certain things to operate, but then you turn around and tell me that you're doing a commercial lien on somebody, you're mixing public and private, and that shit is hellified, confusing in law to the fact where it may look very bad and come back to bite you in the ass. Just to be honest. Oops. One of the boys I got coming out here, I'm gonna have to get off pretty soon and holler at him because I have a big day coming up. Sunday I usually do meetings with Moors, so this might not be my first video of the day. Matter of fact, I don't want it to be. I'm gonna try and get a lot more out here today. As far as content compared to what I'm used to, in a single day. But it's because I got a lot going on. Yeah, stuff I could announce. I'm gonna announce a few things on my Patreon, so come follow me over there, people, and come support me. Like I stated, I get a lot of Moors that come to me, learn about me after some of these other Moorish organizations, and it's to the point where like y'all should do a little bit more research and come to me first. With a lot of these problems, a lot of these questions, because the answers, solutions that I have, I'd say we try and keep it to the lowest cost possible out here, So I'm offering stuff like $20 status correction package that is unheard of now. This package contains so many documents you probably don't need a consultation, to get at me to be able to break down certain fundamental elements of it. And, I understand that there, but it's because I'm trying to offer so much at such a low cost that you're not probably going to get some of these documents I put out. But if you've been in your studies long enough, you may be able to pick up on. So what I'll say is, some of these other Moors out here that, Moors considered to be the top tier. If they were to pick up some of my documents, I believe, they may or may not understand, certain parts of it, or they would have to get into a law dictionary and really look up some of these definitions to even be able to truly understand some of the stuff that we're putting out of it. Now, that being stated, people, if you come to me after some visiting other these Moors, it's not that I won't help you, but the thing is, our process is a little different than the way a lot of these other Moors are operating. So what I would say is you may have to start over on some processes to go back and do them properly, and people get mad about that. They don't want to admit that, someone that they may have paid a whole lot of money to may have told them something that either doesn't make sense in law or could, be improved upon. We we got to be willing to realize and accept that, even though some of these people are experts, that they have their own interest in heart a lot of times. So, you have to look at it from their perspective. And the difference in the way we do and operate a status correction out here in Tejas, with the people that I'm working with in particular, is we customize status correction to the way you operate public and private, because most processes are public or private but don't account for people that are trying to operate in both realms. So this is where we get back to most of these Moorish organizations, because there are very few people that even talk about public and private, and even the ones that do a lot of times don't understand it. I got you, brother. Give me a second. Let me finish this video. But, what I'll say, the temple, a lot of the way they operate is private. It is public to a sense that you will, before Moors publicly declare your nationality. But the thing is, it's in a private setting, and a lot of the temples are not doing things according to Act 6 of the Divine Constitution set out by Noble Drew Ali for the Moorish Science Temple, where he says specifically, but this is a new day, and I'm paraphrasing because I could pull it out, but I mean, I just don't know it word for word off the top of my head, but I'll say it pretty close. He basically says, but this is a new day and to be recognized by the government in which we live and the governments of the earth, we must proclaim our nationality. This is what he directly says, speaking of being recognized by the government and specifically in which we live in other nations. And as far as the Moorish Science Temple, what I can say is, from what I have seen, most of them don't register their membership, in particular with the government, of their state, let alone, or a city or state, let alone, the governments of the world. It's just not one of the things that's happening. So, actually, to help with that, there are other Moorish organizations that endorse those processes. The thing is, with these different processes, there are lots of things in law that can be done. So, as long as certain legal maxims are followed, I'll say, who's to say in particular is doing any one thing right. Now, as long as you follow certain maxims, certain legal principles, everything is totally correct in law as far as you being able to be recognized. Anyone can put together an affidavit, stating the right things, which is, what Noble Drew Ali did when he originally registered the temple, the Moors and things of that sort. Now, there are a lot of new organizations that, claim things that they're doing are absolutely right. And, I don't want to say that, some of these people aren't getting some remedy. But to have certain standings, on what you say, to claim that you're the only one, that is doing things right, I'd have to disagree when other people out here getting remedy, and there are organizations claiming to be courts and consular and things of that sort, that are new, but these are not new things that Moors have been doing. There are organizations that have been doing this stuff for years. I have one of them out here, but you know, there's a lot of progress that needs to be done that's been stagnated, and a lot of people are waiting for answers instead of actually out there getting the answer. Okay, so now I want to bring it all the way around full circle back to the temple, because Noble Drew Ali, who started this divine and national movement, he said some things that were very dogmatic at times. You know, it's not that I don't agree with the prophet, with Noble Drew Ali. I want people to understand, I do agree with his structure, just like I agree with, the way the government is set up. The structure is all the way there. Things are right there. My problem is when it comes down to proof of some of the works. There are temples out here that they make claims, and there is some proof that Noble Drew Ali, 1928, went to the Pan American Conference, and it is said there that he obtained the land grant to America. This is something that has been classified from the record and can 100% be proven to the best of my knowledge. And I can understand why, and if you know history, you can see the results and things that happened from there. The following year, not only was he assassinated, the stock market crashed, and then they, in the next few years, went off of the gold standard. The whole country went bankrupt, and the paradigm shifted. And there are a lot of people that will not attribute that to what Noble Drew Ali did, but I absolutely believe that that's what happened. That this powerful man came, spoke about our ancient nationality to the world, and was basically given, what was needed for us to be a nation in full. I do believe that, you know, because when you look into history and look into diplomatic relations, you look into diplomatic intercourse and who really has status as a nationality. And when you look at this from an international level perspective, from meetings that have been happening since then, UN meetings and things of that sort, they all refer back to this 1928 Pan American Conference. And they even state that people with an ancient nationality, in a sense, are diplomats, and the only ancient nationality that was around that time was the Moroccan nationality, the Moorish imperial nationality, because we were, in a sense, citizens to an empire. The way, if you were in England during the time of Rome, during the Roman Empire, you were a Roman citizen even though you were English. It's the same thing. Uh, After the rise of the Moorish Empire in the 700s, for the next 1,000 years, everyone African, Asian, and anywhere around the world who was non-European, for the most part, were either considered Moors or were part of the Moorish Empire, because the Moorish Empire was so vast that you almost couldn't be a part of it. And that Moorish influence, goes all the way out to China and these East Asian countries. You can see they all carry the Moorish scimitar. They still have in what we would say, I want to say, is Indonesia, the Sultan of Brunei, the country of Brunei. They still have that same structure of a sultan. In these places out there, they're known for being Moorish people. You know, and being part of the empire, part of the Silk Roads and things of that sort. We did trade and business all around the world, and were the leaders of the seven seas. We were the only ones on the seven seas, at that time, just to be honest. So there was no one out in the world that had power or status of any sort. So right now we're in a 100-year hold period, waiting to see, basically, if the information will be unclassified from this Pan American Conference in 1928, to see if, these Europeans will ever even tell the truth about what happened. But, my thing is, in the meantime, there's still much work to be done. People still need remedy. And with the way, the remedies can come. There are different organizations in the Moorish Science Temple with different ideas and objectives on how these remedies can come to be, which we need both sides of the coin. There are temples and certain other political Moorish organizations who say and do believe that the answer is to get a politician or politicians into office so that we have someone to represent us, which is not totally incorrect or inconsistent with what Noble Drew Ali did. The thing is, let's say we get someone into city council. The person in city council can't personally represent the Moor that gets pulled over and has problems because of a traffic stop. Now, someone on the top can help to implement new policy for the next time, but to help that person in their situation, they need someone from the bottom up that's going to help and assist with remedy. Because at this point, we as a people have been, I'll say, sheltered in every direction from the top, bottom, left, and right. They're pushing at us. They are constantly moving the goalposts when we're trying to attain remedy and do these things. So the approaches to these different organizations is all absolutely necessary. There's no need for just only the Moorish Science Temple. And if there was, there would be no reason that the Prophet created the Moorish Divine and National Movement that at that time was, and even to this day could be, people that are not necessarily a part of the temple, but that are Moors and are assisting in this movement. He said, if people believe the oral statements that, these Europeans are helping me, why aren't you? So with that being said, I assist any and every Moors, group of Moors that I know that needs help, whether temple, not temple, or Lodio, whether they claim to be sovereign or whatever. I'll help bring anyone into the fold of understanding to get remedied where we at, where we need it. So there are many different ways. There's a multifaceted approach to getting what we need done. So it would be with the Moorish Divine and National Movement, with the many organizations out there. I myself am a card-carrying member of several Moorish organizations, including the Great Seal. And I assist, people, going in any direction that I feel like they need help. As long as I feel like they're in honor, I will try and point someone in the right direction. You know, but like I said, I got people getting at me. I know y'all seen a few messages come up, and I'm supposed to be having plenty of meetings today. So definitely get at me, people. Few updates, and I say the updates for last, so you gotta really listen to the whole video. But I'm delayed on about 20 or so cards because of an encounter I had with policy enforcers. They put a false charge on me. It's no thing. I spent a few days longer in trying to wait and get a personal bond as opposed to having my people pay, but they want to play games, reset my court date, make it so where it would be a whole nother month before I'd be able to get a bond on personal reconnaissance. So basically for free, for those who don't understand it, those kind of things, never had those kind of issues. I'm not worried. I'm fully aware and ready to take on, any and everything that I need to do to clear my name and to show that I've been 100% in honor. I'm not worried about that. Probably got a few people wondering why does it say black on my shirt, or been looking to see does it say black. Yes, it's Black Panther. Covering up the camera. Yes, the Black Panther. I love the movie. I'm a fan. So get off the gas. Some of y'all that hate the word black so much that it can't be used in a sentence. We're Moors, we know better. We understand everything in its proper context, and nothing is taboo for us in certain situations. If we know what we're doing and keeping to law. I guess that'll be it for now, y'all. And I think I covered everything that I meant to speak on, talk on. And if not, let me know, ask some questions, reach out, walk the bait, and number 7 more, gmail.com. Uh, for the most recent updates, y'all come visit me on Instagram. I'm on there. Just type in Walter Davis Bay, Instagram, Facebook, and anywhere else. Shit, put it in Google, you'll find me. Oh, and I googled myself and found a couple trolls. You bitch ass niggas. There's a couple trolls that got my names. They wanting hits off my videos, off my name, off my services. And one of these it was a website that they're supposedly selling nationality cards, but they have my name, Walter Davis Bay, in their tag, but I am not a part of those Moorish nationality card website services or something. Like that shit has nothing to do with me. That's somebody writing my name, and that is some fuck shit. And I have spoke with that brother. I didn't think we had issues. I had no issues with. I still have no issues with what he does as far as business or anything like that there. But the fact that he's using my name to tag me into his goddamn services is some fucked up shit, and y'all can tell him I said it. And y'all know I'm in Houston, so anybody that has a problem with it, come see me. But you know, if you gonna use my name, you know what I'm saying, let me know. Cause that's some shit I would never do, try and ride somebody else's coattail to get to the top. That's some whole shit. You know, just to be real. You know, more stand on it. We ain't gotta do that. Peace.